This is my unfiltered experience with LASIK, aka laser eye surgery. If you or someone you know just wanted to hear a random person's experience about LASIK, well, this is it. But just so I'm not a complete stranger, something you ought to know about me is that my name is Sean, and I make videos about my personal finance experiences, which includes my reasoning behind making large financial decisions, such as getting LASIK. There's a lot of things I want to share about my experience getting laser eye surgery, and I'm going to break this video down into sections. So if you wanted to hear specifically about the process, you can skip to that. Or if you just wanted to hear how much I paid for LASIK, you can skip to that as well. But first, let me fix my headband because I am growing out a man bun, or trying to, and I am in the awkward short to long hair phase. I know. LASIK and now this, a lot of changes for me, but let's begin. So first I wanted to talk about my vision background so you have a sense of where I'm coming from and the change that I went through and ultimately ended up with. So I basically had glasses since I was in third grade, which I was about 9 years old then. And I had contacts shortly afterwards because I was playing a lot of sports growing up. So if you know anything about contacts prescriptions, in my left eye, I had a negative 4.75, and in my right eye, I had a negative 6.0, which means that I was very nearsighted. Like if you were just 5 feet away from me, I could not clearly see your face. And for you camera aficionados, I call this seeing in bokeh, except nothing is in focus, everything is just blurry. I also have slight astigmatism, which results in blurry and distorted vision. This is caused by the cornea, which is the front part of the eye, being a different shape than normal. And there are two kinds of astigmatism. There is vertical and horizontal astigmatism. Upon research, I was surprised to find that the exact cause of vision loss isn't necessarily known, but vision loss is believed to be the cause of two factors: genetics and environmental factors. If you have poor vision, then chances are one or both of your parents also have poor vision. Your lifestyle can also lead to vision loss, such as if you spend a lot of time reading books up close, or you're constantly on your screen for multiple hours a day, you can develop nearsightedness. I've known that I wanted to get LASIK for several years now, and I just wanted to wake up and just see everything, not have to go to the bathroom and put on my contacts. I just didn't want to deal with wearing glasses, especially when I work out or play sports, and then the irritation of contacts after a long day. But I needed my eyes to stabilize first before I got LASIK. So when I visited my ophthalmologist and she gave me the go-ahead to get LASIK, I began to research. So before I talk about my experience with LASIK, let's talk about what LASIK actually is. LASIK is an FDA-approved outpatient procedure intended to reduce the need for glasses and contacts. It's been FDA approved for more than 25 years, which basically is the government saying it's a safe alternative to glasses and contacts. And it being an outpatient procedure means that you walk in, have the procedure, and walk out the same day. In fact, the procedure only takes 5 to 10 minutes, and then you just walk out. LASIK can be broken down in two procedures. There's the flap creation, and then there's the cornea reshaping. There are two ways this flap creation is done on the cornea, and probably you've heard of two different ways that LASIK is performed. One is with a blade, and then the other is bladeless. And to clear up any misconceptions, LASIK performed with a blade is not done with a scalpel like I originally thought. In fact, it's done with an automated blade, whereas bladeless LASIK is done with cool beams of light. Modern surgical practices are typically done nowadays with bladeless technology, which is a bit safer and more accurate. Both have similar feeling and recovery time, But either way, your eye's going to be numb and you won't feel any pain, just pressure. The physical reason why you have blurry vision is because your cornea is in abnormal shape. This causes the light to come into your eye and not be properly aligned in the back. Cornea reshaping transforms the shape of your cornea so that this light actually focuses properly in the back. And this is done by opening a flap from the cornea, which is the front part of your eye, and a machine sends in cool pulses of UV light to reshape your cornea. Individuals who may not qualify for LASIK may be qualified for PRK, and I'll go into depth more about who might actually be better off getting PRK than LASIK. In PRK, instead of opening up a flap, reshaping your cornea, and then putting the flap back down, you get a special bandage, much like a contact lens, to put over your cornea as it heals. A reason why you may not be qualified to get LASIK and will have to opt for PRK is that your cornea isn't thick enough. I myself had thick, juicy corneas, so I opted to get LASIK. Typically with LASIK, the recovery time is only a few hours, with you being able to return to work the following day. But with PRK, initial recovery takes a bit longer and will take a couple of days. But either way, the full recovery time for either LASIK or PRK is between 1 to 3 months. I'm gonna be honest, my search for a LASIK surgeon was fairly quick. My healthcare insurance includes dental and vision with a 15% off discount for LASIK or PRK from the US Laser Network. But I would definitely recommend you doing the same thing and start with your vision insurance to see if they cover any of your LASIK surgery, and then use an in-network provider for the procedure. You can do this by going to the website of your health or vision insurance provider and look for whatever offerings they have for LASIK. And if you want to talk to someone, just go ahead and give them a call and they'll be able to assist you. Hopefully. I found a location for me that was only 15 minutes away, so I booked a consultation and bada bing bada boom, I went. So before I got to the consultation, I did a fair amount of research and wrote down an entire list of questions that I needed to ask and get answers for. I'll go ahead and list the questions that I had written down on screen, but I'll also just go over a couple of the answers I received for them. So when I first walked into the building where they perform LASIK, they actually had a completely glass floor-to-ceiling window where everyone in the waiting room could see all the LASIK procedures going on. Walking in there, I was able to see people, lying on their bed, like getting LASIK then and there, which was... So basically when I checked in, they took me back and did fairly routine eye examinations to see if I qualified for either LASIK or PRK. They'll do normal things like checking your vision and what prescriptions you're at, look for any signs of astigmatism, and measure like the thickness of your cornea. They explained to me what LASIK was and what the entire process would be like, from walking in there, procedure day, what the procedure would actually entail, and the post-op care. I guess one of the biggest questions for me was who was going to be doing my LASIK surgery. My surgeon was actually a very experienced one who had over 100,000 procedures. And no, I didn't say that incorrectly. Over 100,000 procedures. He had over 20 plus years of experience. And I guess when you're doing LASIK, each procedure only takes 5 to 10 minutes. So you can really crank out a high volume of them. Another question I had was how many patients have to go back for retreatment because their vision loss occurred again? And what is the enhancement policy? And for me, going with LASIK Plus, the enhancement policy is for life. And because I had thick enough corneas, I could easily go back and get a second LASIK surgery if I needed to. Another question I had was how long does corrected vision last? And typically it can last for decades, but LASIK does not prevent the loss of nearsightedness as you age. Think about your parents or your grandparents or anyone over the age of 50 years old. They probably require reading glasses to be able to read things up close, and that loss of nearsightedness is completely natural. I know I listed a bunch of questions, but as I go through my experience, I'll be answering most of them, if not all. All right, so down to the juicy money question. How much did LASIK surgery cost for me? So I got the bladeless LASIK procedure with LASIK Plus, and it was $2,395 per eye for a total of $4,790 for both eyes. And this was just paying out of pocket with no insurance helping out. You do also have to pay for medicated eye drops for after surgery, and those are about $30, but comes for free. They also give you non-preservative teardrops to help combat dry eyes, and that was $75 additional dollars. So the total price without any insurance would have been $4,895. But with my insurance, it actually gave me a $1,200 discount, which comes out to be to about a 25% discount, which I will note that LASIK Plus does have a lot of seasonal discounts, and you'll oftentimes find a 20% discount right off the bat. And so with this 25% discount, the entire thing cost me $3,665 for surgery and the post-operation eye drops. I also ran out of the eye drops fairly quickly, so within a month, I bought additional eye drops for $10. So the total cost was $3,675 for surgery and recovery. Now, you might be thinking that this seems expensive. And for a lot of people, yes, this can be quite costly. But before you outright dismiss it, I urge you to calculate how much it would cost you for 20 or 30 years of buying glasses and contacts every single year. I thought about it as essentially paying the cost up front, while also benefiting from 20/20 vision and the lifestyle plus convenience of having great vision for the next decades. I was working towards a credit card sign-up bonus, so I decided to pay my entire bill up front on the credit card, but you could also use a FSA or a flexible spending account or a HSA, which is a health savings account. I have an HSA and could have used it to pay for the entire surgery. But there's this HSA tax strategy where you cover your medical bills up front, leave your HSA money to invest and compound over the years, and then with the receipts of all your medical bills, you can withdraw from your HSA tax free. I'll link a video where I cover this in more detail. There's also a way to finance your medical bill through Care Credit. You can open a Care Credit credit card, which is specifically made for health and wellness treatments. With Care Credit, you can opt to pay off your LASIK bill over time, and having a payment plan like this will allow individuals to receive LASIK without having the lump sum in their bank account all at once. Another advantage to this is that even if you had enough cash to cover your entire bill, you could keep your monthly payments low and invest the rest into something like the stock market. So you're covering your medical bill while also investing your extra cash. This is what to expect the day of the surgery. After the consultation, they actually asked if I wanted to get the procedure done that day. And I was like, I just received all this information. I just need some time to think and reflect and really know if I want to go through this, considering all the risks to surgery. I'd say don't make a game time decision. Just get your consultation, think about it, and then call them when you're ready. LASIK actually only takes a few minutes per eye. And my mom actually recorded my entire procedure and timed it at 8 minutes and 55 seconds for both eyes. And my mom was able to watch it because there was a glass screen in the lobby, and she could see me walk in, see my entire surgery, walk out, and know when to help me out, aka walk me to the car and drive me home. So when I walked into the building day of surgery, I had to deal with all of the pre-procedure work, which was just paperwork and paying for the bill. For an hour to an hour and a half, I did final eye checkups to make sure everything was good, had my eyes numbed, and just in general, making sure everything was well and looking great for surgery. They verified that I hadn't worn contacts for several days prior and did final measurements. I then had to sign the papers acknowledging everything that could go wrong with surgery, and this was where I started to get cold feet. Mishaps with LASIK are uncommon, but with surgery, there's always a chance for something to go wrong. There's always a risk. I was nervous at first, but I knew that the convenience and lifestyle I would get with good vision was something that I truly wanted. And with my surgeon having so many successful procedures prior, I felt confident in this procedure. I paid the bill with my credit card, and then I got my eyes numbed. I then was led to the waiting room where I could see all the people who were going to get their surgeries done prior to me. And within about an hour and a half of walking in the door, I was then led into the operating room. The procedure was short, efficient, and honestly flew by so quickly. I was placed on a reclined chair, and a laser was used to create that flap in my cornea. There's a section of this where a ring is actually placed on your eye to keep your eyes still, and I actually blacked out for a few seconds, but this was completely normal. I then was stood up and was assisted to another chair where the cornea reshaping actually occurs. And I want to make this clear that there was no pain, just pressure on my eyeball. They'll be sure to place an eye-opening device on your eye so you don't have to worry about blinking at all, because you physically will not be able to. You do, however, have to keep your eyes straight and focused. And I think that's probably the biggest part for the surgeon, is to talk you through the entire procedure, keep your mind engaged, and constantly remind you to keep your eyes focused on, for me, was a red X. During the procedure, I did smell something that smelled like burning rubber. And this is odor being emitted by the cornea cells being burnt by the laser. And this is the odor emitted by the cornea cells vaporized by the cool laser. Luckily for me, surgery was a complete success, and they gave me these sunglasses. As I walked out and met my mom. You do need to have a driver lined up to take you home. And for me, that was my mom, but a lot of people actually use Uber or Lyft to take them back. The car ride back was the most painful part, and I actually remember it so vividly because I could see, but not like completely clearly. And I was walking back to the car, I opened the door, sat down, and then all of a sudden, I just felt my eyes burning. My eyes were burning, tears were flowing, and at that point, I was wondering if I had made the right decision. I went home, napped for 3 hours, and skipped most of the painful parts. It's definitely recommended to nap after surgery, but some people just can't nap, but as long as your eyes are closed, that's the most important, and the initial healing can be done. So after I napped, most of my pain had subsided, and I was able to see clearly. This was when I was like, yeah, I made the right decision. But that was just the initial recovery. There's a lot that goes into the post-op care. As soon as I woke up from my initial nap after surgery, I had these medicated eye drops that I needed to put in 4 times a day until gone for a minimum of 5 days. But I had enough to last me 3 weeks, so I just used the medicated drops for 3 weeks. And then I had to use artificial tears 1 to 2 hours for the first 24 hours, after which I then had to use these artificial tears 6 to 8 times a day for 6 to 8 weeks. You cannot over moisturize your eyes with artificial tears, so it's recommended to use them as much as possible. This will increase your comfort level, improve your eyesight recovery, and help with vision stabilization. I kept track of medicated drops by taking 1 first thing in the morning, 1 at lunch, 1 at dinner, and then 1 right before bed. With the artificial tears, I just did first thing in the morning, before lunch, before dinner, after dinner, and then one right before bed. I don't eat breakfast, so I didn't use that as a meal. I don't eat breakfast, so I didn't use that meal as a marker for taking drops. So I would say that my eyesight was good enough to return to work the next day, but I decided to take the entire week off to take my recovery slowly. But I had the entire weekend to just take it easy and focus on my recovery. I've been there trying to get back into things way too quickly after surgery, like when I got my gallbladder removed or my ACL surgery. And after going through that, I wanted to take this recovery as slow as I needed to. The first few days after surgery are the most crucial times, and it's when most of the recovery occurs. I wore sunglasses 24/7, including when going to sleep, so I wouldn't accidentally touch my eyes. After 3 days, I could resume normal activities such as lifting and exercise, but to just use my head and not go too hard. I avoided anything that would make me sweat profusely and cause me to rub my eyes. So no tennis, cardio, I don't really do cardio anyways, and nothing else intense. Also, no water in my eyes for the first week. So in the shower, I was very careful not to get water on my eyelids. I initially was showering blind, but then I realized I had these swimming goggles that I had when I would go swimming, so I just used those in the shower. A few days after surgery, I went back for a post-op visit, and this was just to make sure everything was going smoothly, do a couple of checks and measurements. And really, this was the time to ask any questions I had regarding surgery or post-op care. After that visit, I have not gone back since. Fortunately, I had no complications with surgery or the post-op care, and I have not been back. All right, so side effects and recovery. Here are potential LASIK side effects and my experience with the recovery. So right after surgery, you'll probably experience some redness, but this will go away within 2 to 3 weeks. So sometimes waking up, I'd say fluctuating vision. So even 1.5 months after surgery, some days I would wake up and have blurry vision. But after about half an hour or so, my vision would dial in. I did experience some dry eyes, but whenever my eyes felt dry, I just remembered to put in more artificial tears. It's very common for people after LASIK to see a starburst or halo effect. And I literally thought this was, a light source, and then you see a ring around that light source, but it's more actually a fog. I'm 3 months out of surgery, and I guess I don't necessarily remember how I saw light before surgery, but I do still see this fog late at night, but honestly, it doesn't bother me at all. One thing I found interesting that when I went back for the post-op visit, my left eye had actually healed faster than my right eye. So I was seeing more clearly in my left eye. And it's just important to note that your eyes will heal independently of each other. So my left eye was the one that had better vision than my right. And so it was just taking my right eye a bit longer to heal. So the big question is, was it worth it for me? I'm 3 months out, and I can unequivocally say hell yes. I was fortunate enough to not have any complications with surgery or post-op care. And, I am extremely blessed and thankful for that. It was a few $1,000s for the surgery, but I thought of it as paying the bill for glasses and contacts up front and then experiencing decades of good vision. The recovery time was quick. And I just love waking up and being able to see. I don't have to deal with any more dry contacts at the end of a long working day or switching from glasses to contacts when I want to go work out or play sports. Now, when I go travel and pack my bag, I don't have to worry about packing contact lenses, additional extra contact lenses, contact lens cases, glasses, and solution, all of that. The convenience and lifestyle that LASIK has offered me is incredible. I'd even go so far as to say it's been one of the best purchases I've made in my entire life. Along with this stitch candle. Isn't he cute?